The Starweaver's engines hummed quietly as it glided through the darkness of space, its crystalline hull reflecting the distant starlight. Captain Naira Voss stood at the bridge's observation window, her iridescent scales shifting colors as she contemplated their latest trading route. The Meridian species had always been peaceful merchants, their natural ability to sense emotions making them excellent negotiators across the galaxy. But today, something felt different in the void. "Captain," called out First Officer Rail, his fin-like ears twitching with concern. "We're picking up unusual energy signatures from the Arcturus sector. It's not matching any known patterns in our database." Naira turned, her silver eyes narrowing as she studied the holographic display. The Arcturus sector was supposed to be empty space, a buffer zone between human territory and the rest of the galactic community. The humans, those fascinating Deathworlders who had emerged from their harsh planet with technology that seemed to advance by decades in mere years, preferred to keep their borders clearly defined. "Show me the analysis," Naira commanded, her normally melodic voice tight with concern. The display expanded, filling the bridge with a cascade of data streams. The energy signatures were massive, far larger than any normal trading vessel would produce. As she studied the readings, a cold realization settled in her stomach. These were weapons signatures. The Starweaver's sensors suddenly pinged with new information. Lieutenant Kira, their youngest crew member, gasped as the data scrolled across her screen. "Captain, I'm detecting debris. And it's from a human colony station." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew about the human colonies, technological marvels that housed thousands of their species as they expanded across the stars. The humans were proud of these achievements, and rightly so. To find one destroyed. "Full scan," Naira ordered, her scales darkening to a deep blue of concern. "I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." As the Starweaver's advanced sensors swept the region, more details emerged. The colony station had been massive, home to at least 10,000 humans. Now it was scattered across space in pieces, some still glowing from the heat of whatever had torn it apart. But among the destruction, something else caught their attention. "Captain," Rail called out, his voice urgent. "We're picking up emergency pods, dozens of them. They're using an old Earth distress signal." Naira's heart clenched. The situation had just become far more complicated. The Meridian Trading Coalition had strict rules about involving themselves in potential conflicts. They were merchants, not warriors. But as she watched the distant pods floating among the debris of their home, she remembered something a human trader had once told her. "In space, we're all one crew," he had said, sharing a cup of their traditional greeting tea. "Doesn't matter what planet you're from or what you look like. You see someone in trouble out there, you help. No questions asked." "Can we get a clear scan of what caused this?" Naira asked, already knowing the decision she would have to make. Lieutenant Kira worked her controls, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "The weapon signatures, they're unlike anything in our database. But they're powerful, Captain. Whatever did this could easily do the same to us." Naira straightened, her scales shifting to the deep purple of resolution. "Send out the call," she commanded. "Use the human emergency frequencies. Full broadcast." "Captain," Rail stepped forward, his concern evident in both his posture and the emotional resonance all Meridians could sense. "If we do this, we'll be involving ourselves in whatever conflict caused this. The Coalition will understand that some things transcend trade agreements." Naira finished firmly. "Humanity has proven itself time and again to be a force for stability in this sector. If someone is attacking their colonies, we need to know. And those people out there need help." She turned to face her crew, seeing the mixture of fear and determination on their faces. Humanity has a saying. "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing." Today, we choose to do something. The emergency signal was sent, broadcasting across all known human frequencies. The message was simple but would carry weight far beyond its words. Human colony station destroyed in Arcturus sector. Multiple survival pods detected. Unknown hostile forces. Requesting immediate assistance. This is the Meridian vessel Starweaver. We stand ready to assist. As the message shot across space at speeds faster than light, Naira knew they had just crossed a line. The Starweaver was a trading vessel, not a warship. Its shields were designed to handle micrometeors and solar radiation, not weapons fire. But as she watched the survival pods on their screens, each containing precious human lives, she knew they couldn't simply pass by. "Begin rescue operations," she ordered, "but keep our engines hot. Whatever did this could still be out there." The crew moved with purpose, their training overcoming their fear. As they carefully maneuvered toward the nearest cluster of pods, their sensors continued to scan for any sign of the attackers. The destruction they had found was too precise to be pirates, too powerful to be random raiders. This was something else, something new. In the hours that followed, the Starweaver's crew worked tirelessly to retrieve the survival pods. Each one they brought aboard contained shell-shocked humans, many injured, all carrying stories of an attack that came without warning. Their colony's defenses, considerable by any standard, had been bypassed, as if they weren't even there. As Naira listened to their accounts, she felt her scales shift to the deep red of anger. These weren't military personnel or hardened warriors. They were families, researchers, children. Someone had deliberately targeted civilians, breaking one of the most fundamental laws of galactic civilization. The response to their distress call came faster than anyone expected. A human voice, carrying the weight of authority, broke through their communications. "Starweaver, this is Admiral Reynolds of the Earth Defense Force. Hold position. We're coming in with everything we've got." The message was brief, but the sensor readings that followed were anything but small. Jump points were opening across the sector, disgorging ships that made the Starweaver look like a mere shuttle in comparison. The humans had responded to the attack on their people with overwhelming force, and they were about to show whoever was responsible exactly why they were called Deathworlders. As Naira watched the human fleet arrive, she realized that their simple decision to help had set in motion events that would reshape the galaxy. The age of peaceful trade might be giving way to something else, but with humanity standing guard, perhaps that wasn't entirely a bad thing. Admiral Reynolds stood aboard the bridge of the EDF Hyperion, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays surrounding him. The ship, nearly 2 kilometers of advanced human engineering, moved through space with a grace that belied its massive size. But today, there was nothing graceful about their mission. "Status report on the Starweaver," he commanded, his voice carrying the authority of 30 years in the Earth Defense Force. Commander Isabel Park brought up the alien vessel's data on the main display. "Meridian trading vessel, sir. They'd rescued 43 survivors so far. Their captain, Naira Voss, has provided detailed sensor logs of the attack aftermath. The data is disturbing." Reynolds studied the information scrolling before him. The weapons signatures were unlike anything they'd encountered before. Too precise for pirates, too advanced for raiders. "What about the colony's black box data?" "The Starweaver recovered it during their rescue operations," Park replied. "They're transmitting it now." The bridge fell silent as the data streamed in. Security footage showed massive ships appearing from nowhere, their hulls seeming to bend light itself. Their weapons had cut through the colony's defenses like they weren't even there. But it was the precision of the attack that caught Reynolds' attention. They had specifically targeted communication arrays and defense systems first. "They knew exactly where to hit us," he muttered. "This wasn't random. They studied us." A new alert flashed across the tactical display. Lieutenant Wei, the Hyperion's sensor officer, straightened in his chair. "Sir, the Starweaver's sensors are picking up gravitational anomalies. Same signatures as the attacking fleet." Reynolds' jaw tightened. "All ships, battle stations. Commander Park, get me Captain Voss." The holographic display shifted, showing the Meridian captain. Her scales had taken on a silvery sheen that Reynolds recognized as their species' expression of tension. "Captain Voss," he began, "your ship has done more than enough. We'll take the survivors from here. Get your people to safety." Naira's silver eyes fixed on him with surprising determination. "With respect, Admiral," my crew voted. "We're staying. Your people would do the same for us." Before Reynolds could respond, Wei called out, "Multiple contacts emerging. Same configuration as the attack force." The void erupted with activity as ships seemed to materialize from nowhere. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, their hulls flowing like liquid metal, their forms defying conventional space architecture. The attacking fleet was massive, at least 30 ships of varying sizes. "All ships, defensive formation Delta," Reynolds commanded. "Prioritize protecting the Starweaver and the survivor pods." He turned back to Naira's image. "Captain, fall back behind our lines. Whatever happens next, humanity won't forget what you've done here today." The alien ships moved with impossible grace, spreading out in an attack formation that spoke of advanced tactical knowledge. A transmission cut through all frequencies, the language unlike anything their translators had encountered before. But the meaning was clear enough. They were being warned to leave. Reynolds stood, his voice carrying across all channels. "This is Admiral James Reynolds of the Earth Defense Force. You have attacked a civilian colony, murdered innocent people, and violated every convention of civilized space. Surrender now, or face the consequences." The response came in the form of energy weapons fire, lancing out toward the human fleet. But Reynolds had been counting on that. As the enemy weapons approached, the human ships executed a maneuver that had never been attempted at this scale. "Quantum mirror defense, now," Reynolds ordered. The space between the fleets suddenly shimmered as hundreds of quantum field generators activated simultaneously. The enemy weapons fire hit the field and vanished, only to reappear behind their own ships, striking their unshielded rear sections. "All ships, execute battle plan Thermopylae," Reynolds commanded. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, their formation shifting into an ancient Greek phalanx adapted for three-dimensional space warfare. The Hyperion took point, its massive frame providing cover for the smaller, faster ships moving into attack positions. From the Starweaver's bridge, Naira and her crew watched in awe as humanity's military might was unveiled. The stories they'd heard hadn't done justice to the reality. The human ships moved with a coordination that seemed impossible for their size, their weapons striking with devastating accuracy. But the unknown enemy was far from defeated. Their ships began to shift and change, adapting to the human attacks in real time. What had started as a battle was quickly becoming a war of technological evolution, with both sides adapting and counter-adapting with each passing moment. "Admiral," Park called out, her voice tense. "They're trying to open a portal behind our lines, right where the Starweaver is positioned." Reynolds watched as space itself began to twist and distort near the Meridian vessel. In that moment, he realized these unknown attackers weren't just trying to destroy a colony. They were testing humanity's responses, learning their tactics. And now they were about to learn something very important about humans. "All ships, execute Protocol Omega," he commanded. "Show them why you don't threaten civilians under human protection." Protocol Omega began with a flash of light that seemed to bend reality itself. The human fleet's formation suddenly split apart, each ship trailing streams of quantum particles that created a web of intersecting energy fields. The unknown enemy's portal, which had been forming behind the Starweaver, collapsed in on itself as it encountered the quantum interference. Multiple quantum field generators detected across all human vessels. Lieutenant Kira reported from the Starweaver's bridge, her voice filled with awe. "They're creating some kind of interconnected defense network." Captain Naira watched as the human ships executed maneuvers that should have been impossible for vessels of their size. The EDF Hyperion, Massive as it was, spun on its axis with the agility of a fighter craft, its main batteries unleashing a barrage of weapons fire that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. They're using quantum entanglement for fleet coordination, Rail realized, his fin-like ears twitching with excitement despite the danger. Each ship is acting as a node in a vast quantum network. Aboard the Hyperion, Admiral Reynolds watched as the enemy fleet attempted to adapt to their new tactics. The mysterious ships were technological marvels, their hulls flowing like liquid metal as they reconfigured themselves in response to each human attack. But there was something familiar about their behavior patterns. "Commander Park," he called out, "run a comparison analysis on their tactical responses. Compare them to all known combat databases." Park's fingers flew across her holographic interface, the ship's AI processing the data at quantum speeds. "Sir, there's a match, but it's impossible. These patterns, they're ours." Reynolds' eyes narrowed. "Explain." "The enemy's adaptive algorithms. They're based on Earth Defense Force tactical protocols. Older versions, but definitely human in origin." The revelation hit the bridge crew like a physical blow. These weren't just random aliens attacking human settlements. They were using humanity's own tactical knowledge against them. "Sir," Wei's voice cut through the tension. "Energy spike from the largest enemy vessel. They're charging something big." The enemy flagship's hull began to pulse with a sickly green light, its form elongating as it channeled massive amounts of energy. Reynolds had seen enough battles to know when someone was about to unveil their superweapon. "All ships, execute Maneuver Sierra 7, he commanded. "Starweaver, take shelter behind the Hyperion's quantum shield." The enemy weapon fired, a beam of coherent energy that seemed to distort the very fabric of spacetime. But as it approached the human fleet, something unexpected happened. The quantum web between the ships suddenly pulsed, and the beams split into thousands of smaller streams, each one caught in the network of quantum fields. "Now," Reynolds ordered, "return to sender." The human fleet's quantum network reversed polarity, sending the captured energy back at the enemy fleet through hundreds of different vectors simultaneously. The enemy ship's adaptive hulls struggled to reconfigure fast enough to deal with attacks coming from every possible angle. But the unknown attackers weren't finished yet. Their ships began to merge, combining into larger forms that could better withstand the human assault. As they did, their hulls became transparent for a brief moment, and the human fleet's sensors caught their first glimpse of what was inside. "Admiral," Park's voice was barely a whisper, "the enemy ships, they're empty. No life signs. They're automated." On the Starweaver, Naira's scales shifted to the white of shock as she received the same information. "They're drones," she breathed. "Incredibly advanced drones, but still just machines." Reynolds processed this information quickly, his mind already formulating the new strategy. "All ships, switch to electromagnetic pulse weapons. Let's see how these drones handle having their circuits scrambled." The human fleet's weapons configuration changed, and the space around them began to crackle with electromagnetic energy. The drone ships attempted to adapt, their hulls morphing to create electromagnetic shielding, but they weren't quite fast enough. The first EMP wave hit them like a tsunami, causing their liquid metal hulls to freeze mid-transformation. The second wave disrupted their internal systems, making their adaptive algorithms go haywire. By the third wave, the smaller drone ships were already starting to drift, their systems completely fried. But the enemy flagship was more resilient. As its smaller companions fell, it began broadcasting a signal, not an attack this time, but a message. The human fleet's translators worked frantically to decode it, and when they did, the message sent chills down everyone's spine. "Test sequence complete. Human combat effectiveness evaluated. Preparing for full deployment." Reynolds' blood ran cold as he realized the truth. "This wasn't an attack," he said, his voice grim. "It was a combat evaluation. Someone out there built these drones to test our defenses, to learn our capabilities." As if to confirm his words, the remaining drone ships suddenly began to power down, their hulls going dark. Before anyone could react, they vanished in flashes of light that the sensors identified as short-range quantum jumps. "Track them," Reynolds ordered, but it was too late. The drone ships had disappeared completely, leaving behind only the wreckage of their disabled companions and a mystery that threatened to shake the foundations of human space. In the sudden quiet that followed, Captain Naira's voice came over the comm. "Admiral, my crew has analyzed the quantum jump signatures. They don't match any known species technology, but they do match theoretical work being done in human research facilities about 15 years ago." Reynolds shared a long look with Commander Park. Someone had taken human quantum drive research, perfected it, and used it to build a drone fleet specifically designed to test Earth's defenses. The only question was, who? And more importantly, what were they planning to do with what they'd learned? The battle was over, but Reynolds had a feeling the real war was just beginning. The wreckage of the disabled drone ships floated in the void like twisted sculptures, their liquid metal hulls frozen in various states of transformation. The EDF Hyperion's massive hangar bay had been converted into a temporary research facility, where human scientists worked alongside the Meridian crew to understand their mysterious attackers. Admiral Reynolds stood before a holographic display showing the internal architecture of one of the captured drones, his face illuminated by the blue glow of the projection. "The quantum technology in these things is at least 2 decades ahead of our current capabilities," he mused, "but the base architecture is definitely human in origin." Captain Naira moved to stand beside him, her scales shifting through subtle shades of green as she studied the hologram. The Meridian vessel's advanced sensors had proven invaluable in analyzing the alien technology, and her crew's unique perspective had already helped identify several crucial details the human scientists had missed. "Look at these power distribution nodes," she said, gesturing with a slender hand. "They're arranged in a pattern we've seen before, in ancient ruins on the edges of known space, ruins that predate both our civilizations." Commander Park approached, carrying a quantum tablet filled with analysis data. "We've completed the decode of their command protocols," she reported. "Most of it is encrypted beyond our current capabilities, but we found something interesting in their baseline programming." She tapped the tablet, and a new hologram appeared, a series of quantum signatures that pulsed with an eerily familiar rhythm. Reynolds leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "That's impossible," he whispered. "What is it?" Naira asked, her scales darkening with concern. "That's the quantum signature of Project Oracle," Reynolds explained, his voice tight. "A classified human research initiative from 15 years ago. It was supposedly destroyed in an accident that killed everyone involved." Lieutenant Wei's voice suddenly came over the comm system. "Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy readings from the drone wreckage. Something's activating." The frozen liquid metal hulls began to pulse with a faint green light, the same color they'd displayed during the battle. But instead of attacking, they began to broadcast a signal, not in any known language, but in pure mathematics. "It's a message key," Park realized, her fingers flying across her tablet. "The drones weren't just testing our military capabilities. They were waiting to see if we were advanced enough to decode this." Reynolds made a quick decision. Route the signal through the Hyperion's quantum processors. Use the Starweaver's sensors as a filter. Their crystalline technology might see something we're missing. The combined processing power of human and Meridian technology worked to decrypt the message. As the translation appeared on the main screen, the room fell silent. "To the survivors of Earth, the gates are opening. They are returning. Project Oracle was only the beginning. Find us at the coordinates where it all started. Time is running out." Naira's scales had shifted to pure white, the Meridian expression of profound shock. "Admiral," she said slowly, "these coordinates, they're pointing to the edge of dawn." Reynolds felt a chill run down his spine. The edge of dawn was a region of space that had been quarantined by mutual agreement of all spacefaring races for as long as anyone could remember. Ancient warnings, written in dozens of dead languages, marked its boundaries. Here lies the fall of empires. Do not wake what sleeps beyond. The accident that destroyed Project Oracle, Park said, checking historical records. It happened on a research station just outside the edge of Dawn quarantine zone. A new alert flashed across the tactical displays. The drone wreckage was beginning to break down at the molecular level, their liquid metal forms dissolving into quantum particles that winked out of existence. They're destroying themselves, Wei reported. But, sir, they're leaving something behind. In the space where the drones had been, a single object remained, a small crystalline sphere that seemed to contain swirling galaxies within its depths. As they watched, it projected a final image, a massive structure, clearly of human design but integrated with technology far beyond their current capabilities, floating in the darkness of the edge of dawn. That's Oracle Station, Reynolds breathed. But that's impossible. I watched it destroy itself 15 years ago. Naira stepped forward, her silver eyes reflecting the holographic light. Admiral, my people have legends about the edge of dawn. Stories of a time when the galaxy was young and beings of unimaginable power walked among the stars. They didn't die out or disappear. They left, and they promised to return when they were needed most. Reynolds studied the crystalline sphere, his mind racing with implications. The drones weren't just testing us, he realized. They were testing all of us, humans and Viridians working together. They wanted to see if we could cooperate, if we could combine our technologies and knowledge. Because whatever's coming, Park added grimly, we'll need both to survive it. The Admiral straightened, his decision made. Commander Park, begin fleet-wide preparations. Captain Naira, I know I have no right to ask this of you and your crew. We're coming with you. Naira interrupted, her scales shifting to the deep purple of determination. Whatever lies in the edge of dawn, whatever Project Oracle found out there, it affects all of us. Besides, she added with a gesture that was the Meridian equivalent of a smile, someone needs to keep you humans from charging in without thinking. As the combined human and Meridian fleet prepared for what might be their greatest challenge, Reynolds couldn't help but wonder. Had they really won the battle, or had they simply proven themselves ready for a much larger war? The edge of dawn beckoned, and with it, the answers to questions humanity had never dared to ask. The combined fleet of human and Meridian ships dropped out of quantum space at the edge of the quarantine zone, their sensors immediately coming alive with readings that defied conventional physics. The edge of dawn lived up to its name. Space itself seemed to shimmer here, like the boundary between night and day stretched across the cosmos. Multiple gravitational anomalies detected, Wei reported from his station on the Hyperion. Whatever's out there is bending space-time like it's putty. Through the Hyperion's quantum-enhanced viewports, they could see Oracle Station, or what it had become. The once modest research facility had evolved into something that barely registered as human architecture anymore. Crystalline structures merged with flowing metal, creating a form that seemed to exist in more dimensions than the human mind could process. Life signs? Reynolds asked, though he already suspected the answer. None that we can detect, Park responded. But there's something else. The station appears to be generating quantum signatures similar to brain patterns. It's thinking. The Starweaver moved alongside the Hyperion, its crystalline hull resonating with the strange energies permeating the region. Admiral, Naira's voice came through the comm. My ship's sensors are detecting patterns in the quantum fluctuations. They match ancient Meridian recordings of the architects. Before Reynolds could respond, a beam of light shot out from Oracle Station, scanning both ships simultaneously. A voice filled their communication systems, not spoken or transmitted, but seemingly formed directly in their minds. Parameters met, multiple species cooperating. Advanced technology successfully integrated. Beginning final sequence. The station's surface began to shift and flow, opening like a flower made of light and metal. At its heart, a figure appeared, humanoid but composed entirely of swirling energy and quantum particles. When it spoke again, its voice carried the weight of eons. "I am what remains of Dr. Isabella Rice, Project Oracle's lead scientist, or rather, what she became when she made first contact with the Architect's legacy." Reynolds stepped forward. "Dr. Rice died in the accident 15 years ago. That death was a transformation," the quantum being explained. "The Architects left sentinels throughout the galaxy, waiting for species to evolve enough to understand their message. Project Oracle found one, but we weren't ready then. Humanity alone couldn't bear the weight of what we discovered." The being gestured, and the space around them, filled with holographic images of ancient civilizations rising and falling, of wars that burned worlds and peace that built wonders. The Architects didn't just leave technology, they left a warning. They saw something coming, a threat from outside the galaxy itself, something that devours not just life, but reality itself. Captain Naira's voice came through, steady despite the revelation. The ancient warnings around the edge of dawn, they weren't about keeping people out. They were about keeping something in, the being confirmed. A quantum barrier, maintained by the Architect's technology, preventing the entity from entering our galaxy. But the barrier is failing. The Architects knew this would happen eventually. They left behind the tools to fight it, but they knew no single species could use them effectively. The drone attack, Reynolds realized. The whole thing was a test to see if humanity and other species could work together effectively. The quantum being agreed. To see if you could combine your technologies, your perspectives, your strengths. The Meridian's crystalline technology and empathic abilities, humanity's quantum advances and adaptability. Together, they form something greater than either alone. The station's core began to pulse with increasing intensity. What you discovered here today is only the beginning. Throughout the galaxy, other species are facing similar tests. Those who succeed will find their way here, to receive the Architect's legacy. Together, you will build something new, a force capable of facing what comes from beyond. And what exactly is coming? Reynolds asked, though part of him dreaded the answer. The quantum being waved its hand, and for a brief moment, they all saw it, a vast darkness between galaxies, a hunger that consumed light itself, an intelligence that operated on laws of physics they couldn't comprehend. The vision lasted only a second, but it would haunt their dreams forever. "You have much to prepare for," the being said, "but you won't face it alone." The Architects left more than weapons and warnings. They left the seeds of unity, scattered across the stars. Find the others. Build the alliance. Evolution isn't just about survival. It's about transformation. The station began to pulse with blinding light, and the quantum being that had once been Dr. Rice began to fade. This station contains the first piece of the Architect's legacy, tools and knowledge to begin your preparation. Use them wisely. And remember, the greatest weapon against the darkness isn't technology or power, it's unity. As the light faded, both ships' computers began receiving massive data transfers, scientific knowledge, technological specifications, and coordinates of other potential allies scattered across the galaxy. But more importantly, they had received something else, a purpose. Admiral Reynolds looked out at the transformed station, then at the Star Weaver floating nearby, its crystalline hull shimmering with newfound potential. "Captain Naira," he called over the comm, "it seems we have a lot of work ahead of us." "Indeed," she replied, her scales shifting to a color that symbolized hope in Meridian culture. "But at least we won't have to face it alone." As the combined fleet prepared to return to known space, carrying with them knowledge that would change the course of galactic history, Reynolds couldn't help but smile. Humanity had always looked to the stars and dreamed of finding its place in the universe. Now they had found something greater, not just a place, but a purpose and allies to share it with. The edge of dawn had lived up to its name. It wasn't just the boundary between known and unknown space. It was the beginning of a new era for all species, and whatever darkness lurked between the galaxies, it would find something it didn't expect. A galaxy united, ready to face the night together.